Birthdays were always a big deal in my family. Every year, my parents would throw a grand party, inviting friends and relatives from all over. This year, they decided to rent an old, supposedly haunted mansion on the outskirts of town. They thought it would be fun and different, but I wasn't so sure. As we arrived, the mansion loomed over us, its shadow stretching across the gravel driveway. The windows were dark, and the wind whistled through the trees, sending a chill down my spine. I shook off the feeling, trying to focus on the excitement of the party. Guests began to arrive, filling the grand hall with laughter and chatter. The mansion was beautifully decorated, with balloons and streamers hanging from the high ceilings. Despite the festive atmosphere, I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone. After cake and presents, my friends suggested playing hide and seek. The mansion was the perfect setting, with its endless corridors and hidden rooms. I hesitated but didn't want to spoil the fun, so I agreed. I found a hiding spot in the library, nestled between towering bookshelves. The room was dimly lit, the only light coming from a flickering candle on a nearby table. As I crouched there, silence enveloped me, broken only by the occasional creak of the house settling. Minutes passed, and I began to relax, thinking no one would find me. But then, I heard faint footsteps approaching. Holding my breath, I peeked through the shelves, expecting to see one of my friends. Instead, a shadowy figure stood at the entrance, its outline barely visible in the dim light. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The figure didn't move, just stood there, watching. I wanted to call out, but fear kept me silent. The air grew colder, and I could see my breath misting in front of me. The figure finally turned and disappeared into the hallway. Releasing a shaky breath, I decided to leave my hiding spot. I needed to find my friends and tell them what I'd seen. As I stepped into the hallway, the lights flickered, casting eerie shadows along the walls. I made my way through the winding corridors, calling out for my friends, but received no response. The mansion felt like a maze, twisting and turning, leading me deeper into its depths. Finally, I stumbled upon the dining room, where everyone had gathered. They were laughing and chatting, oblivious to my panic. I rushed over, trying to explain what I'd seen, but they just shrugged it off as a prank. Feeling frustrated and a bit foolish, I decided to let it go. Maybe it was just a trick of the light, I thought. We continued the party, playing games and telling stories, but I couldn't shake the unease that lingered. As the evening wore on, a storm rolled in, lightning flashing outside the tall windows. The power flickered, and the room plunged into darkness. Nervous laughter filled the air as we fumbled for our phones and flashlights. In the dim light, I saw the shadowy figure again, standing at the far end of the room. This time, it was closer, more defined. I could see the outline of its face, eyes dark and hollow. Panic surged, and I pointed, trying to get everyone's attention. But as the lights flickered back on, the figure vanished, leaving only empty space. My parents assured everyone it was just the storm playing tricks, but I knew what I'd seen. Determined to uncover the truth, I convinced a few friends to explore the mansion with me. We armed ourselves with flashlights and set off into the dark corridors. We searched room after room, finding nothing but dust and cobwebs. Just as we were about to give up, we heard a noise, a soft, mournful cry echoing from the basement. Hesitant but curious, we followed the sound, descending the narrow staircase into the cellar. The air was damp and musty, and our flashlights barely cut through the gloom. In the corner of the basement, we found an old, cracked mirror. The surface was coated with dust, but as we wiped it clean, the room grew colder, and the crying intensified. My reflection in the mirror wavered, and for a brief moment, I saw the shadowy figure standing behind me. I spun around, but the basement was empty. Suddenly, the mirror shattered, shards of glass scattering across the floor. The crying stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. Terrified, we scrambled back upstairs, our hearts racing. The party was winding down, guests saying their goodbyes, unaware of what had transpired. As we left the mansion, I glanced back, half expecting to see the figure watching from one of the windows. But the house remained dark and silent, its secrets hidden once more. The party was over, but the experience lingered with me, a chilling reminder of the shadows that lurk just beyond our understanding.